The band Be Bop Deluxe were just far too complex for pop, too melodic for metal, and too strange for radio. But for those who get them, their music is pure gold. Now, I've got 10 tracks for you today that hopefully give you some proof. They were formed in the early 1970s and fronted by the fiercely individual Bill Nelson, and they never comfortably sat within glam, prog, or new wave, but yet they touched them all. Their albums carried ambition and confidence, yet they never really sold in the way that perhaps they could have, or indeed should have. Now, in this video, I'm focusing on 10 tracks that prove why Be Bop Deluxe were so special. More importantly, why they still matter today. This isn't a greatest hits list for the sake of it. This is about tracks that underline what really made their music enduring. It's intelligent, stylish, sharp, and often way ahead of its time. Now I'm starting with Ships in the Night from Sunburst Finish in 1976.
We are like ships in the night.
This is arguably Be Bop Deluxe's most immediate track. A rare brush with the charts, just about reaching number 23 in the UK. Now it does have a charm that's really hard to ignore, driven by an almost reggae-style rhythm and one of Nelson's most direct vocal performances. But what makes this so interesting is the contradiction. It's a radio-friendly tune just about buried in an album packed with artistic turns. The inclusion of saxophone played by his brother Ian gives really a richness that hints at Roxy Music's influence, but perhaps with a more polished lyrical bite. Now, it's a song that almost got the mainstream attention. Well, almost. The second track is Made in Heaven from Futurama from 1975.
She's a maid in heaven. She's a night on the tiles of...
And clocking in at just over 2.5 minutes, Made in Heaven is punchy, it's bold, and arguably the closest they came to writing a classic rock anthem. Now the riffs are compact, the structure's sharp, and the vocal melody is really irresistibly catchy. Bill Nelson once said that this was written in a flash, and it really sounds like it. In the best possible way, though. It's urgent, confident, and with none of the baggage that sometimes came with the era's longer, more complex tracks. Now, its brevity is part of its strength. It's really a perfect gateway into the band's catalogue. Now, the third track is Adventures in a Yorkshire Landscape from Axe Victim from 1974 and re-recorded on Live in the Air Age as well.
Ways and windows and movies in May.
Now, this one's a favourite among long-time fans, and it's really easy to understand why. The original album version is effective, but it's really that live version that elevates it. Here, Nelson takes his time. The guitar work is expansive and expressive, channeling emotion really without sliding into indulgence. It's a love letter to place and memory, not in a romanticised way, but in a quietly reflective tone. It's also the clearest link between Be Bop Deluxe and progressive rock, though it never loses the bluesy core that really sits underneath the surface. Next we have Panic in the World from Drastic Plastic from 1978. Now, by the time this album came out and was released, Be Bop Deluxe were nearing the end of their run. But rather than fading, they shifted gears. Panic in the World is as close to post-punk as they really ever came, combining anxiety with a sharp production and tight structure. This song is lean and there's tension baked into every line. It's about unease, fear of collapse, and maybe even a comment on the music industry itself at the time. And while earlier tracks dipped with glamour and guitar flair, this one stares back at the listener with clenched teeth. Track 5 is Live in the Air Age from Sunburst Finish. in 1976.
that serve the bitter drink. The barman smiles at me, his wife, she gives a secret.
And one of the most futuristic tracks in their catalogue, not because of the lyrics, but because of how it feels. It's clean, efficient, and yet completely unafraid to explore ideas that really didn't belong on commercial rock radio at the time. Chris Thomas's production is really worth noting here. He gave the song a clarity that allowed Nelson's guitar lines to soar without overwhelming everything else. Now, in some ways, it's foreshadowing what artists like Gary Newman would explore a few years later, but with a stronger foundation in perhaps guitar-based structure.
It's grim enough to make a robot cry.
For the sixth track, Sleep That Burns, again from Sunburst, finished in 1976, and this is where the gloves really come off.
Gotta sleep that burns. Sleep that burns.
The intro is dramatic, the arrangement is bold, and Nelson sounds like a man caught between dreams and fury. There's a theatrical edge to the song, not unlike early Queen, but without that campness to it. The band are in lockstep, and it builds across 6 minutes without ever dragging at all. This is a fine example of how Be Bop Deluxe used ambition as a tool, never as a gimmick. For Exchange from Sunburst Finish is perhaps the most biting song in their catalogue. It's a sarcastic take on the entertainment industry. Fair Exchange is part satire, part confession. Those lyrics bite hard. The rhythm section, Simon Fox on drums especially, does some heavy lifting here, keeping the groove focused, while Nelson lets rip on his guitar. Now, it is easy to miss how angry this song is because it's so well dressed. Number 8 is Twilight Capers from Modern Music.
To the end, shot through the heart. My dear.
Now, this one sits just behind Fair Exchange in fairness. Now, where Fair Exchange is more direct, Twilight Capers is much more subtle. It leans into atmosphere, suggestion, and art-skilled tension. There's a cinematic quality to it here, but more importantly, it shows just how Be Bop Deluxe could shape tone and mood without ever relying on lengthy solos or overproduction. Nelson's voice is cool, it's detached, but it's never uninterested. The band follows suit. It's one of their lesser-known gems, in fairness. Number 9 is the title track from the debut release Axe Victim in 1974.
Came to watch the band, to see us play our parts.
It's a song that really still divides opinion. Well, why? Some critics at the time accused it of borrowing far too heavy from Bowie's glam period, and it's really not an unfair comparison. Nelson's phrasing in particular recalls Ziggy Stardust. But there's more going on under the surface than just that. This is another song that's confident, literate, and full of ambition. Now, it may wear its influences on its sleeve, but it never feels empty. What it lacks in originality, though, it makes up for in sincerity and style. It's not perfect, but it really is important. Number 10 is Electrical Language, and this comes from Drastic Plastic from 1978. Now, this was released really as new wave was rising, and this track might have arrived just perhaps a little bit too early for its own good. It's incorporated synthesizers in a way that felt like a pivot at the time, but now just feels so natural. There's a coldness to the song, but also that clarity again. The band is adapting, it's responding to a different climate. Nelson's guitar is more restrained, the lyrics more clinical. Now, it didn't connect with a wide audience then, but it really has aged better than many of its contemporaries. Today, if you were to listen to it, it sounds current in structure, delivery, and in attitude. Now, while I've focused on 10 chord tracks, it really is impossible not to mention modern music as a suite. The title tracks and its connected pieces display really a most refined version of Nelson's ideas about fame, nostalgia, and isolation. And how about Crying to the Sky? Though not on the main list, this remains one of the most emotionally direct solos Nelson ever recorded. It's a guitar piece that's spoken of in the same breath as David Gilmour or Andy Latimer by fans of expressive lead playing. The Be Bop Deluxe were a band constantly pushing at the edges of what was expected, sometimes to their own detriment. They were always slightly out of step, and in many ways, that's really what preserved their relevance. This list isn't just about influence or nostalgia. It's about songs that still sound sharp, intelligent, and full of purpose. Some may have slipped past the radio, but some may never have had the attention that they really deserved. But they are worth your time. Not for legacy, but because they still sound fresh, ambitious, and most importantly, alive. Now, this is a video that I really hope you've enjoyed, as Be Bop Deluxe was such an important band to me in the 70s. And no doubt you have favourites of your own. Now, if that is so, drop them in the comments and I will add them to potentially some future episode or episodes. Now, a couple of months back, I shot a video that went deeper into the background of this band that really proved very popular. And that's the video I want you to watch next. I'll see you over there.